Welcome back to more Auction Not Included for our beginner guide. Last video we kind of went over the two oxidizers, different uses for fertilizer once you have to move off it, and then moving into more of our end game rockets. So kind of the problem with, quote unquote, problem of the mid game, and where I think why a lot of people get into restarting a lot is a lot of your mid to mid late game projects, a lot of waiting around. In our case, we're waiting for Oxalite because we have redone our colonization rocket for petroleum, and because of how we designed it, where I am setting this up that I just want to do one trip of them being able to go there, drop the Trailblazers, and stay there. We're waiting for wrong rocket. Waiting for to be able to fill this Oxalite bin. So in the meantime, I have built a second full-size SPOM. Part of it to fill oxygen tanks, mostly so we can easily run two Oxalite refineries, just because the annoying thing, they take 600 grams per second. It's a little annoying just because pump only moves 500. So we have two lines going to that, overflow goes up, and then our third line we're going to be running to the stuff we're going today, which is some of the story traits. So usually this time of when you're in the kind of waiting for Oxalite, waiting for lime to make steel, kind of the waiting phase is you can start fixing, doing a lot of your cleanup stuff, or in my case, going over some things we could have done earlier, but I wanted to avoid because maybe you don't have them on your planet, or we just didn't use them. I'm not there. We are waiting for our research to get done. So we have everything required that we need for getting our imperative. So we have the monument. We've gotten to cryofuel. Now we're just kind of going to finish off everything. Let's get high velocity destruction. We need this to do space mining. I think that's the last of the really expensive ones until we get to data science. Like I said, I did double up our array here just to get through our research, because we're going to redesign our lab once we get through our research. But anyway, we're mostly just waiting for Oxalite to get produced. So it's still going to take a while to get that done, but we can clean some stuff up. So things you could use in this time would be, clean up your piping. The complete and utter mess of bridge knotting I have for routing. And whenever making monstrosities like this, it's nice to have the flow overlay mod, because I mostly understand the logic, but sometimes get some weird things. Even my shipping, I have some weird stuff just because I'm trying to evenly split my phosphorite, because I want half it going to my fertilizer and then half it going here. And a lot of these are just crowded systems. So these are the kind of things you work on when you're in the waiting for things to get produced. Similarly, all right, because I actually went to orbit on the planet. That's why I haven't been able to look at the planets. I haven't gone to their orbit. Know that there. We do have our aluminum running now too, so we do have renewable aluminum and gold, which we will need for the little bit of space material we are required to make. Our betas are trying. I think they may... I don't know why they're taking... Temp and stuff is just weird in here. We may lose our betas, which is a problem, but we'll get a thing that kind of fixes that. Because I don't believe you can get betas from the printing pod. Anyway, so we're going to work on a day. The thing I want to avoid going through most of the stuff before is some of the story traits, because depending on how you generate your map, you may not have access to a story trait. There are 6 total. Default, they do 5. It's pretty it gives you a warning about failed map generation if you set up to 6. It seems reasonably likely for it. And then, but you may not have one, you may have chosen not to do one, or the one you want to work with may not even spawn on your main planet. So we do have access to a couple of them. We have the Critter Fluxomatic, we have the Biobot Builder, we have the Princeptor, we have the Somnium Synthesizer. Yes, I did expand our heat spike a little bit. Then over on Grisona, we have the Ancient Specimen. Actually want to leave the Weezords there. I want to check in here just to see if maybe the one I haven't found yet's here, but could be on another planet. But the Mysterious Hermit is the one we've not been able to locate. I don't think he can be in this little patch here. Take a look at Toxona. Not on Toxona. Definitely not down here. He spawns in like a polluted biome. I think he can be here based on how I know it spawns. So he's probably on another planet. Which is fine. We're not looking to work with the Hermit at the moment. I just want to go over here to finally get this area revealed. But the story traits I mainly want to go over today are the Somnium and the Printerceptor. These are the two that are probably the most universally useful to any playthrough you do. We're going to do the Printerceptor first, because it's the most straightforward. So we're just going to go up here. We're going to activate... We just have to activate the Printerceptor. So we've had this for a while. We're just going to activate the Printerceptor. Okay, so we need an access code now. So an unsanctioned bioprinter that runs on power siphon from the printing pod. The access code required to reboot it for testing to locate somewhere else on this world. Where you find it, and it does start animating afterwards, you need to find the washroom. So that will be on the same planet as the Printerceptor. So to access it, you do need to get a dupe that has plumbing, the plumbing skill. Now we will unclog it. I thought I needed the plumbing skill. Maybe I don't. Steela definitely doesn't have it. Okay, maybe you don't. You have to find the toilet and clean it either way. My duplicates have recovered the access code to unlock the Printerceptor. The data storage medium was damaged during retrieval, but has already served its purpose. The Printerceptor targeted printing technology is now at my colony's fingertips. So now what this lets us do is I'm going to set this to 25 because I don't want to... We're still using a lot of our databanks at the moment, so I'm going to set this to store 25 databanks. What we have to do is charge it. And the way we charge it is next time the printing pod activates, instead of using the charge or skipping the charge, we can send it to the Printerceptor. It takes 3 charges and then a amount of databanks, and then we can use that to print various seeds and eggs. Which we'll gather later. It's very good because there are a lot of things you can't normally get from the printing pod that you can get from the Printerceptor. It also helps with a lot of the RNG if you're trying to plan some projects of maybe... You always want to get up on the desk as soon as I start. It'll let you get access to things maybe before you have access to space, and avoid a lot of the RNG of waiting for the printing pod to maybe give it to you. But it does take databanks. But unless you have the bionic DLC. And even then, you don't have a lot of use for databanks in the game. In base game, it is pretty much... By base game, I mean spaced out. Spaced out and base game. Pretty much your only use for databanks is doing your research, and after that, they are basically useless. This gives you a sync for your databanks. Especially now, you get so many databanks just for free. Like, anything we inspect gives any of these things we can inspect, we get databanks. Every geyser we analyze, we get databanks. Every time we discover something with a telescope, we get databanks. Disable manual use here. I got it a hair out of range. Fix that there later. So this is a way to kind of sync your databanks after. That's there for our space. Kind of the updates. We have explored most of the lower area. I think this is out of range to see, but we did find the shovel planet. We'll just wait for our plot to get going. So the other story trait I want to go over is the Somnium Synthesizer. The Somnium Synthesizer is probably the best story trait in the game. Just because maximum aptitude is kind of a broken ability. So, first thing we gotta do, we need to activate the Somnium Synthesizer. There we go. Activate so we can analyze dream journals. And the way we make dream journals is whenever our dupes sleep while wearing pajamas, they will make dream journals. So, the way you get those, it's pretty straightforward. You would just go to this pajama cubby, dispense item, and dispense them until you have enough. I did get all the ones I need, and this is why we've been collecting balloon artists. I have been handing them out because this is just another very good ability to have in the colony. So, the way dream journals work is start getting these out and handing these out to our various dupes. We have renamed all of our balloon artists. There we go, it is under clothing. We're going to start just getting all of our balloon artist dupes into pajamas. Stinky, we got to put in pajamas. Max is in pajamas. Harold, Pay needs pajamas. And Abe needs pajamas. Nails are in pajamas. Alright. So now whenever they sleep, they will be able to make dream journals, similar in the way that our bionic dupes make microchips. For this reason, you can't get like smart and like, oh, I'm going to put my bionics into pajamas and make microchips and dream journals. Unfortunately, bionic, our boops do not dream. So, one way you could go about this, you could just put everyone in your colony into pajamas and then slowly make dream journals that way. The downside, they are wearing pajamas. So they get a massive -8 to athletics. So your dupes will be very slow. Consider this here also with your Atmo suit for another -6. Without Atmo suit training, a max athletics dupe would have a speed of 6. Yeah, 6. They'd be very, very slow. They also have decreased stamina, so they will get tired faster. So your dupes are going to have more downtime anyway. So usually what people would do is you just get dupes dedicated to doing nothing but sleeping for the Somnium. So the rough math is you need to get 10, you have to be able to make 10 journals per cycle. So, simple way, if we had dupes sleep for half a cycle, then we could just set this here. So I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, it is still in 24 blocks, which is weird with 600-second cycles. Do math. Yeah, so each of these blocks is 25 seconds. So we could just say, hey, all our dreamers have 12 blocks. We get 10 dupes. We set it so they have 12 cycles where they do nothing but sleep. They'd make enough. Maybe give them a little more sleep to do that there. The ideal way for doing it is either you have 6 dupes that sleep for all but 2 cycles, and then give them 2 blips of downtime just so they can eat and use the washroom. Or you do 7 dupes with 5 downtime and you make them all balloon artists. Because balloon artists is a very, very strong overjoy response. So we can see here, if they're overjoyed, they will go to the printing pod, give out a balloon, then whoever gets the balloon buddy bonus. I believe also the balloon artist will get it as well. And what this does, it gives a +8 to creativity, science, cuisine, medicine, agriculture, and husbandry for 2 cycles. So if you have a very centralized colony on where the Somnium is located, it's worth trying to fish for balloon artists and just doing the 7 balloon artists. It can take a bit of time. There are only 10 to 11 dupes that can spawn with balloon artists. Overjoyed responses are tied to the dupe personality. So there are only 10 dupes you can get from the printing pod that have balloon artists. So Abe, Ada, Harold, Max, Nails, Otto, Pay, Ren, Stinky, and Trabaldo are the only dupes you can get. So if you took any of those earlier, so in the case, I know we have an Otto for sure. There he is. So we took an Otto as a farmer. We also have our rancher Ren. That's 2 dupes out of that 10. Like, we could just replace them with another dupe that we'd have to skill up, but whenever you're taking a balloon artist, you don't really care what they have as long as they don't have any, like, really catastrophic negatives or stuff that maybe affect your colony math, like mouth breather, bottomless stomach, and so forth. The reason I say 10 to 11, the other dupe that does get balloon artists, and they are actually really good for this role, they just take a lot of work, is George the Mysterious Hermit. So unfortunately, we do not have, or we haven't found yet, our Mysterious Hermit. And it takes a bit of work to get that trait unlocked. The main part that makes that hard is you will need to make a lot of very high quality food. I believe you need to be able to make at least 3 different foods that are a quality 4 or higher. So you would need to be able to make the gas range. And like, I think we have enough laying around. It's either 4 or 5, but you need to make a lot of high quality food and then also get it to George. We'll take some spiffy overalls for now. Actually, I should have redirected that. I thought about it. But anyway. The reason George is really good for it, George gets a special attribute that only they get. So they'll get ancient knowledge like any other frozen dupe, but they will also get charismatic. So any dupe they talk to, they can just instantly overjoy. You can have them giving out balloons and triggering more overjoyed responses. We don't have that. We got our 7. So maybe if we get George, we'll move him over, and whoever's the best for Dreamers gets a real job. But I don't really want to get more dupes. I never factor George in when I'm doing my how many dupes do I want to allow in my colony. But anyway. So the first thing we want to do now is, I did set them up here. I did readjust all my schedules. So I am on 3 schedules now. Everyone gets 5 downtime. That's just to help giving out balloons. So we have our copy schedules here. Now, because we just want them sleeping. Because I didn't want them to skill up athletics. Helps them get more stuff. We're just going to get them sleeping now. Rename our copies. I just wanted to make sure that with how we had things set up that I'm not having issues of people. I don't have enough bathroom space. I think it works out. I have 6 to 7 dupes per block. They should have enough downtime for all that there. This just makes it easier for them to hand out stuff and so forth. Now they're going to do nothing but sleep. So we can see here, getting their nice little dream, their little progress bars. A nice thing with the comfy beds is because they are 4 wide, they always have enough space that if you have a dupe that snores, they will never be in range of another dupe. Similarly, for our nyctophobic dupe, it turns out it is, if they don't have light for at any point during their sleep cycle, they get the unrested. So the 2 ways to work around that there is 1, just have a light run constantly, or time it with a cycle sensor. Alternatively, you can get around the penalty by just using a carpeted tile under where they're sleeping, because the Tickle Tootsies offsets the stress gain. So they'll get a stress reduction for going on the carpet, which offsets the fact they're not having light all the time. So we're just waiting here for Dream Journal to spawn. Then to help kind of route everything, using too many chips. Are overusing our chips. I have them. May want to look into start producing microchips, just because we're running more power plants than we actually have bionics. I'll have to see what the math is on those, but we are getting lots of ore now that we could just start processing some. But there we go. So we got a dream journal just to help that all travel. We're just going to sweep them and send them directly down to the Somnium. We're just waiting for this to get up to 25 dream journals. The other thing we also have running down here is we do need to supply this with oxygen. And this is why, while the Somnium is very powerful, it's not exactly free to set up. Because you're going to need to add, to ideally run it, you're going to have 6 to 7 dupes that do nothing but sleep. So that is 7 more dupes you have to feed, and 7 more dupes you're going to have in your colony. You have to schedule around, and their oxygen intake. On top of that, the Somnium also requires 500 grams a second of oxygen. So on oxygen alone, we have a dozen dupes. Just oxygen we have to supply to power the Somnium. What we're going to get, though, once it's all up and running... Okay, our space rocket is back. So we've done everything that way. Let's see what's out here. The downside to make our oxalate is we are burning a lot of it right now while we're exploring. But the benefit of once you can run the Somnium is it gives every dupe maximum aptitude. So the nice thing about it, so is because maximum aptitude gives a +5 to athletics, strength, science, piloting, and machinery. So more or less, with the exception of science, basically all the skills Balloon Artist doesn't. It also gives a -25 stress per cycle buff. What this means is if you're playing on default difficulty, you can basically ignore morale. Because low morale has +25 stress per cycle. This offsets it. The other really powerful thing, whenever I say it affects all dupes, that includes dupes not on the planet. So all of our bionics that are over on Grisona, they'll get maximum aptitude. All of our dupes in rockets, which is the big reason it's really good, they'll get maximum aptitude. So even if you can't maximize it in the sense of having like maybe it's on a bad planet that can't support a lot of dupes, so you got to do a little more work to get your dream journals around or support doing it. You don't want to put like all your dupes there because you can't. It's not worth putting a central base on that colony because maybe you can't do industry there, you can't ranch or whatever. It's still worth doing to get the buff everywhere and the stress reduction, because we've seen stress is kind of annoying to juggle, especially with our rockets and stuff. So it'll make it very easy to do a lot of space missions and just not worry about how our rocket is designed. Because right now with this colonization rocket, like, it looks okay. We have, like I said, we have our washroom, we have our Great Hall. We lost our room because we're doing Oxalite now, so we have to put this gas pump in here. We're probably going to lose more than that in a bit because of some other things I'm going to have to put in here for our Coldolan trip. Mostly, we're probably going to be losing our Great Hall because I need to cram in a liquid tank. So work around it. Figure that out later, because I'm going to have to get polluted water onto that planet to make cooling loops. And if I was to do the thing of just fill the tank and then put it... just put it in the ship, it would off-gas. People get cranky. We'd probably get some popped eardrums, and I wouldn't get most of the water, so... let's... so if we gotta put it here, and then we also probably gotta cram a bottle filler somewhere. We don't... so the other thing, we could also just give up our bedroom. Might be the other thing. It's very much a just, we need to make a couple things work project. Get that in the off time while I figure that out. We're still just waiting to get our bin filled. We're about halfway. Our exploration rocket is... double check we got the full 20 hexes. Not that worried about the air tanks. It's not a long trip. Just getting everything explored. So, trick I am doing here to kind of get around the fact I'm not running a cooling loop is if you place a conduction panel down, it will allow buildings to kind of exchange heat with tiles they're on. So that's kind of how we're keeping the payload opener and the auto sweeper from frying themselves at the moment. A blip about overheat. Yeah. Let's set this one to 225. Just aluminum is very conductive. I just want a little more overhead with it. The aluminum volcanoes are mostly why I modified this design, to try and put as much distance from the liquid aluminum as possible. So I put the loader here, then it could have had issues of the aluminum touching it directly, so it'd be dealing with more than 1,000 kg. Gold and copper, that's less of an issue. Iron, a lot of the other ones we're going to work with. We're just waiting for our... Take a little bit to get the Somnium going, and then have to remember that I can intercept charges now. You do have to manually do it. A little annoying. The thing with balloon artists, especially if you're doing this here not on your main planet, so you don't have a printing pod, you have to make a mini pod. I just haven't bothered to do on my other planets. It's a... Oh, there we go. Story trait complete. Beating the initial quota of dream content analysis has triggered a surge of electromagnetic activity that appears to be enhancing performance for duplicates everywhere. If my duplicates can keep this building fueled with dream journals, perhaps we will continue to reap this benefit. Small side compartment is also popped open, revealing an unfamiliar object, a keepsake, perhaps. Unlock maximum aptitude. Yeah. Story traits are good ways to get ornaments for the purpose of making banquet halls. So now we have a model plane. There we go. It's fully running now. So now it's actually using the 500 grams per second. Which is why I gave it a dedicated line. So, I'm going to look at my blueprints. See here, I don't want any of these. So since I don't want them, we'll intercept the charge. We'll take 3 charges. But now, we have maximum aptitude. I think I don't like a balloon buddy. It doesn't tell me the bonus it gives. But there, minus 25% stress per cycle, and then plus 5 to various things. And that affects everywhere. We can check. Steal a 1.0. There we go. Maximum aptitude. And if we go to our exploration rocket, maximum aptitude. So, yeah, minus 35 to 40 stress per cycle. Stress is very much a non-issue. About the only thing I'm afraid of for stress now is popped eardrums for the most part. Popped eardrums and bad morale is usually when stress starts having issues. We are running our petroleum generators more. I have looped this liquid pump into our water grid. There we go. Stress is very much a non-issue now, and we get a bunch of bonus stats. The thing I was mentioning with the printing pod, and if you're doing other things in regards to balloon artists, your balloon artists only give out balloons at the printing pod. This is relevant if you're not building on your main planet, because your balloon artists will never give out balloons if you don't have a mini pod on the planet. It's weird and annoying. That's why probably once we get through our research, we're going to make this into a rec room. And that way, like, our dupes will go here to do their their downtime activities. It'll just make it a lot easier to centralize. So that way they're not going here and then needing to go to the printing pod. Because for whatever reason, everyone just hangs out at the printing pod if they have nothing to do. Yes, the reason you usually build your lab about the printing pod is just because of the old requirement on the laboratory. Is the laboratory used to need a light source. In early game, the easiest way to do that was the printing pod. It's still worth doing early on, because then you get the well-lit bonus for your research station and your supercomputer. Just so these do work faster for the early research, but we could move all of these lab buildings into, say, probably this room. I don't think any of the... we'd have to move our skill scrubber. But, like, we could move all of this here into a different room, and then we would have our rec room here. We're just waiting for our stuff to come in. We've moved most of our water. We are converting some of our slime into algae, and that's for kind of the next project. But as for the other story traits, so the critter fluxomatic, discovered an experiment designed to analyze the evolutionary dynamics of critter mutation. Once it has gathered enough data, it could provide extremely useful for genetic manipulation. Another one, we would just activate it. And we also have the Biobot Builder. These two are not as useful as the... Oh, we did find another planet. Okay, there is the Marsh planet. So we are just looking for the superconductive now. So there we go. So to activate the critter fluxomatic, we just need to have 5 different species run through it. So there's 5 different species, not just mutations. So like we could put so we got 3 critters we could put there easily because we have pips, hatches, and divergents. I think we can also put the Pacu through. It'll just be awkward. Because the Grub is the same species as a Sweetle. Their class is divergent. And what the Fluxomatic does is once you put a creature through it, it will change it based on whatever its egg chance is. So if this Sweetle had a 60% Grub egg chance, it would change to a Grub. So it can be useful for kind of quickly changing some critters around and stuff. That's really it. Besides that there, it can... If you have a lot of critters on your planet, it's an easy way to get an ornament. The Biobot Builder, I've not really messed with, just because it's like a weird point in the game that you can take advantage of it, and it just never seems to spawn somewhere that I would want to make use of it. But what we can do, same reason I just don't make a lot of the robots. Same with rovers, Flydos, all those various things. But what this does is we can feed it zombie spores and steel to make biobots, which are nice if you just need some general labor on a planet. So we don't really need it here. Maybe if it spawned on Grisona and we had a lot of like moving stuff around projects, we could set them up here or Toxona or something. But whereas on our main planet, doesn't really do much. Okay, so... I already knew it wasn't here. Let's just check by some planets. Just because it needs steel, I think is the weird point with it. Also, you'd have to be prepared to work setting up like a zombie spore farm. But it's in the kind of same boat as like a Flydo of it's kind of good for a couple of odds and end jobs, but it's just weird when you get it. But it is another way to get an ornament. Just, it's not the easiest thing to work with. The other really good story trait is the Ancient Specimen. So it does take a bit of work to get it going, and you do need some pretty late game stuff to probably take full advantage of it. Because we would need dupes with a Masterwork skill to check the various fossils. So we have the Ancient Specimen, that's easy enough to get to. The other 3, so we have the Frozen Fossil, which is just going to be in this extreme... Well, it's warmed up a lot. But this starts out at, I think, like negative 200 or something stupid. It's warmed up a lot in the meantime. But you have the Frozen Fossil. It will be cold enough, Or maybe it is only -8. It's cold enough that your dupes will get frostbite without Atmos suits, I know that much. You have the Amber Fossil, which its main risk is it is just surrounded by zombie spores. We just want to avoid maybe that getting in the environment. You do that by just flooding this with water to kind of delete all the gas around it. And usually the one that catches off guard is the Petrified Fossil, because it is 500 degrees. It does normally start surrounded by magma, which turns to igneous rock. This is why I left a lot of area around it, because this we're going to have to cool to access. Once we have checked all 4, that will change the ancient specimen into the dig site, which will let us convert diamond into fossil. I think it's 1 kilogram of diamond for 100 kilograms of fossil. There is a way to loop that to effectively get infinite diamonds. So you would turn your diamond to fossil. You would smash the fossil in the rock crusher to get lime and sedimentary rock. You feed the sedimentary rock to hatches to turn it to coal. You turn the coal into refined carbon, and then you put the refined carbon into the diamond press to turn it into diamond. And the reason that works is because you're using one kilogram of diamond, and if you loop it around, it'll make 100 kilograms of diamond as a result. For the most part, not something you need in a lot of playthroughs. It's more relevant for doing a lot of space mining, like very long-term space mining. We probably have enough diamond for everything we're going to need to do anyway. But the reason I say it's kind of a late game project is because the diamond press doesn't list it here. Takes a lot of rad bolts. It takes 1,000 rad bolts to press 1 diamond. So even using like our array here, we'd be able to make one maybe every 10 cycles. Even with our satellites. Like with our 2 satellites, we make one every 4 cycles, which might be enough. But like making diamonds at scale usually involves needing to set up a research reactor. Partly why I want to keep our betas going, but we may not be able to. We may have to manually set up a beta ranch if we really want to do uranium, just because this environment is so inhospitable to them. Which is fine. We'll still probably have more uranium than we'll ever need in the game. Trying to think here. Yeah, because we'll get most of... Because even if we start ranching them, like we'll lose half their uranium to mining it. But even if we then still feed that uranium to our betas, we'll get it all as enriched uranium. Because if we feed it, more or less, we get 90% of it if we put it through a betas. We only get 20% if we put it through the centrifuge. And the rest of it is liquid uranium, which then becomes depleted. And then just kind of annoying to work with. But we'll get a reactor going later. We've checked everything around there. Head back, because I don't think I can really explore much else. But yeah, out of the space points of interest, the Gilded Asteroid is kind of the one the one of note because it's how you get access to fullerene, your renewable fullerene source to make viscogel and supercoolant, which is the only space material we're required to get. We are just looking for the We're looking for the superconductive and the temporal tear. We may or may not find the temporal tear. It could be here. We need a more powerful rocket, which is why we need supercoolant to really check that. But we can just loop graphite as well, which is on our to-do list after we are able to set up to the frozen planet. We'll see if we can get our... Not even going to check what it is. We're not printing anything anyway. Get our last charge, and we get our Printerceptor done. Like I said, they are probably the two best out of the story traits for general use. Just not having to worry about stress anymore lets you do so many bad designs. Like, you don't have to worry about morale, you don't have to worry about food quality, you don't have to worry about rooms, you don't have to worry about decoration that we've kind of been ignoring. And you can pretty much take all of the skills and at least get everything in interest, and then probably your essential like exosuit training. Morale is still relevant for the purpose of Home Sweet Home, because you do need to maintain morale is 16 for getting to Home Sweet Home. It is also relevant for one achievement. Morale High Ground, which is have a duplicate in space for 10 straight cycles, with a morale of 25 or higher. We got that there with our databanks a while ago. A really easy to do that one is just get a dupe with Starry-Eyed, because you get like a +8 morale bonus in space on top of like Thrilling Flight now. It's easy to do as long as you get a dupe with the skill. The main thing I kind of just partly want to keep an eye on, where I have the sleeping dupes now, is just making sure I don't have issues of CO2 building up. So this is one of the reasons I put the thing in the back corner, because you see stuff kind of gets stuck in the corner. Also why I kind of put my bionics here, because then I'm not worried about the dupe not being able to breathe. But just a thing to keep in mind. Same with our gas pressure. It's a thing I've had in other colonies before, where I started adding a lot of dupes and then had a lot of dupes stuck in the colony, but then didn't really update how much air I was putting into it. Because it worked before, where I had that many dupes, but some were allowed out, some were allowed in, and it kind of balanced out with the Atmos suits and what they're breathing in the base. But as soon as I put a lot of dupes in the base at all time, I needed to run more lines in, because each of these lines supports only 10 dupes. So if I had, let's say, just 10 dupes in my base 24/7, then I would need one line of oxygen just for them, and then another one just for the dupes that are coming in and out from the Atmo dock. Just things to keep in mind once you kind of get to a boxy base. I think I did change a while ago. I did up this to 30 degrees just because we're getting issues of our bliss bursts kind of stifling from temps at time, which is not a big issue. As long as I don't have a lot of them go, we'll still have our nature reserve. Oh, there we go. We got our colonization rocket built. So we are going to have to make some modifications to that before our space mission. Another thing I did change, it was more an old thing, because I did run into an issue. It is kind of the annoying thing with batteries, is originally I thought we did have a bit of a power crisis on Grisona, where they had no power. We did fix it before we started having bionics, boops, whatever. Before we have our boops start powering down. And originally I thought it was because these were... I have a mod that allows to disallow manual use. I thought maybe just because my dupes here didn't have anything to do, they were taking batteries that were waiting to get charged here and putting them into this power bank charger, maybe. So the only way I could get around that is just put them, if I wasn't had a mod, was just put this to lowest priority. And then it should be very unlike... Ow! Please stop climbing on my arm. Don't know what, like, I have tired ass, you could go anywhere else. You go anywhere else. You have this whole area over here. Ow. Fell off. Trying to get up again. Whole other side of the desk. Anyway. I thought I had an issue with that there due to the priority just of dupes not having anything to do where it was priority 5. So I had put them down to 1, even if we didn't have the mod. What I think the actual issue was, is I have this storage bin over here that its goal, I had the empty banks on it so that we could easily move from where our soldering station was to there. That was priority 5. I think they were just picking up batteries and taking them out, and then because this only loops into this colony, they're there. We're just waiting for kind of the last one to come in to get the Printerceptor. You can see here with hitting up the Balloon Buddies is why I wanted to kind of get everyone on similar schedules, because this is a problem I've run into before of my other dupes just not having enough time to go get the balloons. Just lots of free stats. Take a look here. 28 athletics, 18 agriculture. Like I said, it is almost like machinery and athletics, to a lesser extent strength. They're about the only skills you will ever max on regular dupes. There are ways to, like, our ranchers will probably max out, our farmers will probably max out, but stuff like science, you're never going to max out. Digging, you're never going to max out. Construction, you're never going to max out. Which is why the bionics are good at that. Decorating, you're probably not going to max out, but just because a lot of those are eventually just run out of stuff to do with them. But there are gyms you could set up if you wanted to go and, like, I want to have a dupe that's just perfect, maxed out everything. The thing you could do. Until I don't edit these, or I would cut out the times my cat decides I'm a great thing to climb on. CO2 is getting up here. I might be able to get away getting a couple slicksters in. Point of start to set that up. I'm gonna set this to slickster eggs. We are getting up to quite high. I think for one ranch. Let's see, you make 20 grams a second. How much do I need per slickster? $20 kg a cycle. So each of these is about 12 kg a cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 30. We can get away. We'll see if we can get away with one ranch. We'll keep an eye on the pressure. So to do that, though, we will need to move over some slicksters. The numbers there are more for once we get to the point where we're running our petrol non-stop. We can just tell them, hey, move a slickster egg over once we get one. Ones over here, unfortunately, are long hair slicksters. We have to wait for this guy. Actually add make a ranching booster just so I can move these guys down and then maybe get some or just free crude oil. Okay, there we go. We got our last print. So now we intercept the charge. The thing I didn't realize, you have to print at least one thing to get the ornament from here. So we're going to choose a blueprint now. So here, instead of waiting for it to go over, we're just going to get a slickster egg. So the reason the Printerceptor is really good, besides just being able to pick any critter and get it, making a lot of stuff easier. So you can get the DLC stuff if you have the DLC. There are a couple things of note. Down the bottom. You can print bee tinies for one. So if our bee tinies do go extinct, this is the way to get them back, because I do not believe you can get bee tinies from the printing pod. Or no, you can't get bee tinies. They're just really unlikely. The big ones are, you can get the edible seeds, so you don't have to, if you're doing an all achievement run, this is usually the big thing you're afraid of if doing all achievements, are certain things going extinct. So if sleet wheat, if you lose all of your sleet wheat, you cannot get more. It will not come from the printing pod. Same with the nosh bean. If all your nosh beans go extinct, you cannot get more from the printing pod. There's a couple other things that you can't get from the printing pod in general, so find some of them. You can't get arbor acorns out of the pod. They're just really uncommon and kind of annoying to get more, but you can get gas grass. Can't get it from a care package. You have to go to the Moo planet. You can get more Sporkit seeds. Sporkits really only have the use of the Biobot builder, but you can get more. And then the Saturn critter traps. These are not something you can get. They are the way you can make power with bee tinies and some other stuff. Nice. For prehistoric mimlets, you can also get. So it is very powerful, because a lot of these you're not going to get out of the care as an option for a care package until you have seen it at least once, or until so many cycles have passed. I think at 500, I think it's like cycle 500, you can start getting anything. That's why we've seen shovels, even though we've never seen a shovel before. So we're just going to print a slickster to save ourselves some time. There we go. Success! This building has printed its first viable organism. It contains 0 detectable genetic defects. We now comfortably reroute the printing pods. Power to print the critters and seeds best suited for my colony's purpose. No species needs to be extinct again. Small personal item shook loose from the frame during use. Perhaps it belongs to the previous operator. Powered on. There we go. We get a hairdryer. But it can be a very good use for your early data banks. Like I said, you're going to get a lot even before you go to space. But now, if I wanted to print another Slickster egg, the next one's going to cost me 50. Anytime you print something, it goes up by 5. Or no, stay 8. I did already have them. Or goes up by 5. Goes up by 25 data banks. And then it'll cap out at 275. But like I said, unless you're playing with the Bionic DLC, your databanks have no use after you are done research anyway. So it's kind of a non-issue. It keeps it from you throwing a lot of your earlier databanks at nothing but the printing pod to do some stuff. But it does make it easier to set up some different systems in places. But anyway, that's just some overview of some of the story traits we could have picked up a while ago. But like I said, I wanted to avoid them while we were going over the basics of getting to the point where we're not worried about our colony failing in some way, because you may not have had access to these. Maybe you didn't. Like I said, one of the things to get our pips going, we needed arbor trees, and we could have just printed one out of the Printerceptor. But maybe we didn't have that there. We had to go to Toxona to do that. Slickster we just did. There we go. I'm just running one incubator right now because that'll supply a lot of these. Yes, I don't want to get too many Slicksters in here because I need to keep the pressure high to keep this from off-gassing. Because it's off-gases, then I might run into issues of Slicksters being stuck in polluted oxygen. A lot of that may just get deleted by the petrol gens anyway. But anyway, that's kind of the overview of the story traits. We do have all of our oxalite for our ship now. So we got some things we got to change around for our ship. Pick our destination now. So with our petrol rocket, we can get to the swamp planet. We can get to the moose. We can get to the shovels, we can get to here, we can get to here. The petroleum rocket will more or less hit everything you need to hit. Get our crew. Nice mix of aluminum and gold coming now. Alright, so we do need to make some changes in our colonization rocket. The big one being, we're going to give up this Great Hall. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to get the Somnium going, because it's going to make this space trip a lot easier. Because now I'm not worried about my dupes having low morale while they're on this planet. It's something we're still going to want to watch, because even with the Somnium, if we start having other issues, our morale could start going very wrong very quickly. So I'm just going to delete the pipes here. Throw down a tile there, deconstruct this vent. Because I need a liquid storage. I need a liquid storage, I need a bottle emptier, and then we're also going to need a bottle filler temporarily. I don't really care about the pipe emptying. Need a liquid reservoir here. Deconstruct into this. Didn't even need that vent anymore. Get rid of this liquid. Go get it all mopped out. I did move all my petroleum. Or no, I know what happened to all that petrol. Petroleum. -50. Crude oil. -40. Yeah. That's mopped. I guess I gotta delete this too. The dupes are gonna complain about being cold in there. May actually want to do... We're going to want to make ethanol rather than petroleum, because we may need to set up some various bead locks. I forget how cold the ice planet is, but with -100, I think it'll be fine. So we do have a bunch of wood. Let's find our ethanol distiller. Right, okay. It has a polluted water output. It puts polluted dirt. It does just put CO2 in the environment, so that's fine. But that's down at the bottom. Just so I can avoid it being in the cooling line. I gotta readjust this power then. Just to avoid my ethanol flashing, I'm not going to build it in here. We can just have it go out to the environment. That's not that big of a deal. I think the ethanol comes out at the temp for it. So I'm going to build it here because I think all my wood is here. Yeah, 31 tons of wood. Just to get a big thing of ethanol. We get 5 tons. We're probably not going to need 5 tons, but we'll get 5 tons. To bridge over this. We'll get that all set up, and then I think we can actually move on to landing on our next planet, which will be Dolan, the Iron Volcano. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching.